Okay, you recorded. Okay, then. Okay. What we're going to do to study today is we're going to learn the dream of Shlomo Hamelech. Okay, the dream of Shlomo Hamelech is recorded twice, once in Sefer Melachim, and the other time is mentioned in Divrei Yamim, but there's certain differences between them. And we're going to study this dream over 2 shiurim because it's perhaps the most important indication of how Shlomo Hamelech thinks and why he's considered Chacham Mikol Adam. So let's read it. I'm going to do share screen. And it's written the following. Okay, now why I've done it in red is because we're going to use red here to show the differences between what is written in Sefer Melachim and in Sefer Divrei Yomim. So it starts off this way in Sefer Melachim. Givon, in Givon, nira Hashem el Shlomo b'chalom halayla. He came in a dream. Vayomer Elokim, sha'al ma eten lecha, ask what you need, what I want to give you. Vayomer Shlomo, and Shlomo says, we're going to learn every sentence inside in Mirza Hashem, but let's take the framework. Vayomer Shlomo ata asita im avdecha David, you did with your servant David, Avi, chesed gadol, great kindness. Kasher alach lefanecha, and he went in front of you, be'emet, uvitzdaka, uvishrat leivav imcha, with great integrity. Vatishmor lo, and you looked after him, you gave him the chesed hagadol hazeh. And what was the great chesed? Vatiten lo ben yoshev al kiso kayom hazeh, and you gave him a son who will continue sitting on his throne. V'ata Hashem Elokai, ata imlachta et avdecha tachat David, Avi, you allowed me to reign in place of David. Va'anochi nar katon, I'm a young boy. Lo eda set uva, I don't know how to deal with things. Va'avdecha, and your servant Shlomo, b'toch amcha asher bacharta, Am Rav, it's a huge nation. Asher lo yimaneh v'lo yisaper me'rov. I don't know, many people. And what am I asking you? V'natata la'avdecha, and I want you to give to your servant lev shomea, an ability to listen. Lishbot et amcha, to judge your people. Lehavin ben tov l'ra, to understand, to differentiate between good and bad. Ki mi yuchal lishbot et amcha kaved hazeh, who can judge this people? Vayitav hadavar b'nei Hashem, and the request was very good in the eyes of Hashem. Ki sha'al Shlomo et hadavar hazeh, that you ask this question, you ask this request. Vayomer Elokim, line number Pasuk Yudalef. Vayomer Elokim elav, yan asher lo sha'alta et hadavar hazeh, v'lo sha'alta lecha yamim rabim. You didn't ask, stay a long time on the throne. V'lo sha'alta lecha osher, you never asked for riches. V'lo sha'alta nefesh oivecha, you never requested that your enemies should be destroyed. What did you ask? V'sha'alta lecha havin lishmoa mishpat, and you asked to be able to understand in a law court. Hine asita kidvarecha, I'm doing what you wanted to do. Hine natati lecha lev chacham v'navon, I'm giving you this wisdom. Asher kamocha lo haya lefanecha, there's nobody going to be, was never in history like you. V'acharecha lo yakum kamocha, nobody will ever be in future days. But gam asher lo sha'alta natati lecha, I've also given you gam osher, wealth, kavod, honor. Asher lo haya kamocha ish bimlachim kol yamecha, no other king's been like you. V'im telech bidrachai, and if you'll continue in my ways, lishmor chukai u'mitzvotai, kasher elach David avdecha, v'arachti et yamecha, I'm going to make sure you're going to have a long reign. That's what's written in Divrei Yamim. Okay, in Melachim. Okay, so this is the dream. Shlomo Hamelech only asks for his ability to judge. or what he calls Lev Shomea, okay? Or Lev Chacham V'Navon, an ability to understand. Now, if we look in Divrei Hayomim, okay, let's see what's written in Divrei Hayomim. That night, Hashem appeared to Shlomo. Please take note, no mention is made of the place. At the moment, anyway. ויאמר לו שאל מה אתן לך? ויאמר שלמה לאלוקים, אתה עשיתם אבי, דוד עבדי, חסד גדול, והמלכתני תחתיו. You've allowed him to reign instead of him. אתה השם אלוקים, יאמן דבריך עם דוד עבדי. כי אתה המלכת על עם, רק עפה הארץ. Let your words become faithful with my father, David. אתה. Now, Chokhmah umada ten li. Now, very interesting statement. Remember now, he doesn't speak straight away how to judge. He wants Chokhmah, wisdom. Umada. Now, how do we translate mada? In modern day Hebrew, mada is science, but it doesn't mean that here. It means understanding people. Wisdom, or what we call nowadays, cognitive intelligence and emotional intelligence. Mada, understanding people. Cognitive intelligence and emotional intelligence. IQ and EQ. Tenli, give me. Veitzah, and through this, Eitzah lifnei ha'am hazeh, va'avo I'll be able to come, ki mi yishpot et amcha gadol hazeh. Who'll judge them? But he doesn't ask straight away. If you look in Sefer Melachim, it's written, the whole objective there is Lev Shomea Lishpot. Here he's not talking about that. He wants wisdom. He wants intelligence. Vayomer Elokim lishlomo, Yan asher hayta zot im lebavcha, v'lo sha'alta osher v'nechasim, you didn't ask for riches and property, v'kavod v'nefesh sonecha, v'gam yamim rabim lo sha'alta, you didn't ask for a long reign. ותשאל לך חוכמה ומדע. You ask for wisdom, which will judge my people. החוכמה, wisdom, והמדע, and intelligence. נתון לך. ועושר, wealth, נכסים, property, וכבוד אתן לך. שלא היה כן למלכים אשר לפניך, ואחריך לא היה. Okay, now also it doesn't speak about here, נפש אויביך. Please take note. Okay, he doesn't say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving him nefesh oivecha. Please take note that in, what's it called, in Melachim, it's written that. Okay, now, ויבוא שלמה לבמה אשר בגבעון, מלפני אוהל מועד, וימלוך על ישראל. This is the essence. Okay, let's just learn the Malbim on this. The Malbim says this in Divrei Hayomim the following. This story, Nizkar b'Melachim, is already mentioned in Melachim. Ukvar hodati pa'amim rabot, and I've already told you many, many times in Divrei Hayomim, ki hasefer hazeh, this book, shechozer sipur, when he repeats a story, nimtza b'sfarim kodmim, is also brought in previous books. Kavanato la'ashlim. The objective of Divrei Hayomim is to complete, or lefaresh ez hadavar, or to explain something. And if there's anything which there's no chidush, we'll make it shorter. You'll see in other books. Now, let's try to analyze this statement. This statement, Rabbi Sai, is very important. Sefer Melachim is written by many, many people. Okay, Yeshayahu, Yirmiyahu at the end, etc., etc. Sefer Divrei Hayomim was written by Anshe Knesset Agdola, and there are two objectives in the story. Sefer Melachim is there to teach also the failings of the kings, the failings of the Jews. Sefer Or if we put it in more defined terms, Sefer Melachim is there in order to teach us how to behave objectively. Sefer Divrei Hayomim is a book where Ezra Sofer tells us that how Malchut Bet David, the king of the house of David, continues. Okay, why is that? Because after the destruction of the first temple, Lichora, there was no concept of Melachim anymore. Our whole statement, what we say in Tefillah, and we mention the only person we mention in the Shemona Esrei is David Hamelech. We mention him twice. V'Yerushalayim Elcha B'Rachamim Tashuv, V'Tishko B'Zoch Kasher Dibato, V'Nei Otzav V'Gor B'Yomei Olam, V'Chisei David Avdecha, the throne of David. In the next one, Et Semach David Avdecha. Ezra Sofer objective is to create for us the importance of Malchus Beis David, that he is there, that family is the true king. That was the objective of Ezra. And he does it in a very special way. And that's why he hardly mentions the failings of the Jewish people. He hardly mentions in Divrei Hayomim the failings of the kings. He's there, in actual fact, to give us an overview of Melachim. If we say in different language, Sefer Melachim deals with the practicalities of kings. Sefer Divrei Hayomim doesn't speak about the practicalities, but it speaks about the objectives. Two separate concepts. One is detail, and one is overview. Again, details versus overview. There are two different ways of learning history. One is dealing with details, and from the details you create the biography. That is one way of dealing with people. From the small details, you create the biography, or you create by the biography by looking at this person from above. Sefer Divrei Hayomim is an overview from above. Sefer Melachim is details. If there are any questions on that, please ask, because this is the essence of what we're going to speak about and how we're going to look at these two reports of the dream. Can we carry on? Okay, let's carry on then. Let's go back to, let me just go back here 1 minute to sharing. Sefer Melachim speaks about places, the Givon. Why is it mentioned Givon? Mentioned Givon here because the objective, the practical, is dealing with detail. Where did it happen? Now, Shlomo Hamelech speaks about his failings. Who is he? What does he say? Anochi nar katon. I'm a young guy. I don't know how to deal with things. I don't know how to deal with things. Lo eda set uva. I don't know how to look at people. I don't know how to go out and meet people. I don't know anything. I'm young and inexperienced. Right. And what does he say now? He says, now, what are the expectations of a king? The expectations of a king are to be able also to help people. But on the other hand, I haven't got the kelim. I don't have the ability. I don't have the cognitive ability. I don't have anything. And therefore, what are the practicalities? The practicalities of being a king is v'natata la'avdecha lev shomea. Teach me how to listen. Why? Because people are going to come to me with complaints. Lishpot et amcha, la'avin ben tov l'ra. Right? People at the top get the complaints of everybody. Right? And that's what's going to happen. And they're going to come to me because this judge didn't behave himself. This guy didn't behave himself. And I don't know how to deal with things. And that's what he says. So therefore, Shlomo here, from the perspective of Melochim, is speaking about my failings, who am I, and what are the expectations from the other side. Remember, you want to do a business deal with somebody, you always got to know who you are and the expectations of the other side. This is what Shlomo Hamelech is speaking about. Expectations. Right. If you take Divrei Hayomim, it's completely different. Look at the stress, the emphasis on this Balayla Hu. Anybody else remember where Balayla Hu appears? No, guys?
The book of Esther.
Megillas Esther, very good. Balayla Hu, there's something about special about that night. Shlomo Hamelech says, listen, I offered up a korban. And because of this offering of the korban, what did I do? HaKadosh Baruch Hu appears to me. That means who in actual fact is the Yozem, the one who leads the format? It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay? If we take what's written in Melochim, emphasis is missing. Okay? If we look at it, Givon nira Hashem el Shlomo. Appeared. If you look at Divrei Hayomim, the same way, Balayla Hu Nadash Nat Hamelech, that night, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to Shlomo. It's not stam a dream. Please take note. In there, it's written, in Melochim, it's written, B'chalom halayla, in a dream. And nothing mentions is a dream, because here we're speaking about the overview. We're looking at it from above. And what in actual fact is the emphasis of the question? What does Shlomo want? Not practicalities. Practicalities are not the essence. What does he ask? He says, Ata chokhmah umada ten li. Ve'etzeh lifnei ha'am hazeh ve'avoah. Give me the kelim. That means it begins with not, what's it called? Please take note. In Melochim, the emphasis is the practicalities. I need to judge. No. Here it's not the practicalities. Here I want objectives. What do I want from HaKadosh Baruch Hu? I want from you IQ and EQ. And in that way, I will be, it doesn't speak about, take note, nothing is mentioned of the failings of Shlomo. That he's young and inexperienced. Nothing is mentioned of that. Because we're not talking about practicalities, we are talking about objectives. And that's why here, Shlomo Hamelech goes for it straight out. What do I want from HaKadosh Baruch Hu? EQ and IQ. Intelligence, cognitive intelligence, and emotional intelligence. And once you've given me that, they'll understand. Shlomo in Divrei Hayomim is not the judge. First of all, I want certain things. That Rabbi side teaches us the two methodologies of Shlomo Hamelech, the two ways of looking at him. The practicalities of a king vis-a-vis the objectives. Now let's go, once we've understood that, let's go down into detail. If there are any questions, please ask, because now we're going to go from the cloud to the prat, from the general way of looking at things down to details. If there are any problems, please let me know. Please ask. So let's carry on then. Let's take note where the source of this is. Chalom. Sefer Melachim speaks about the dream. Now, what do we know about a dream in prophecy? Let's take a look. Vayomer, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Shimu na dvarai, im yu nevi'echem Hashem, b'mareh elav etvada, b'chalom adaber bo. Two ways of me speaking to a prophet. One is in a vision, one is in a dream. And from here we could learn that if HaKadosh Baruch Hu appears to him, Shlomo Hamelech is like a novi, like a prophet. Now, what do we mean by this? Do we mean by this that Shlomo Hamelech actually conversed, had a conversation with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Was it like a virtual conversation in a way like we dream of things? Or is it something different? Now, the Rambam has big problems with this. And now we're going to learn the Rambam. Why is it so important? Because the Rambam, and here I'm giving an introduction, the Rambam speaks about, in Sefer Hamadai and Luchot Yesodei HaTorah, the foundations of Judaism is prophecy. Without prophecy, HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not communicate with anybody. Prophecy, the objective of prophecy is this communication, which we don't understand how, between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Jews and people. And that's why the Rambam said, Yisodei Hakel. It's one of the foundations of the Torah, and that's why Ani Mamin. There are three Ani Mamins which speak about prophecy. The first one is about general prophecy. Then comes the prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu. But the Rambam gives us different standards of prophecy. And here, the Moreh Nevuchim, the Rambam goes into great detail. It says the following. Sometimes not complete prophecy. כמו היה דבר השם אל אברהם במחזה לאמור. ולא כמו ויאמר אלוקים לישראל במראות הלילה. ולא כנבואת יהושע. כי כל אחד מהם, אף על פי, even though, שבעטו הנבואה בחלום, הנבואה ההיא תודיעהו שהיא נבואה ושבת לו הנבואה. ובזה העניין של שלמה אמר בסופו, ויקץ שלמה והנה חלום. Does anybody remember a familiar statement? Somebody woke up and it was a dream. Anybody?
Paro.
Paro, very good, Larry. Paro, also you, Mitch. Paro. In both cases, are we going to say that Avraham Avinu is like Paro? No, chas v'chalila. Is Yaakov like Paro? No. And therefore, in Sefer Melachim, what's written here? If you take it in Sefer Melachim, it's written at the end. Sorry, I didn't quote that sentence. Okay, but the question is, Vayikatz Shlomo v'hinei chalom. It was a dream. Okay, similar to Paro. Chen binyan hasheni amar bo yira Hashem el Shlomo shenit kasher nira elav begivon. It was a dream. V'zot mala lemata mimalat hane'emar b'chalom adaber bo. Ki kasher yitnabu b'chalom, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu appears to them a dream, it's never written a dream. Lo yikru chalom b'shum panim. Achar higia nevuah elaim b'chalom. Ela sheyifseku legamri shehi nevuah. K'mo she'amar Yaakov Avinu, kasher yitorem michalom hanvuah, hu lo amar sheze chalom. Next week's Parsha Vayetze, it never says that it was a dream. No, it was more real. Which means to say, when the Torah speaks about Avraham, Yaakov, it's never mentioned it was a dream. Paro, it was a dream. Avimelech was a dream. Shlomo was a dream, which means to say that only afterwards, the awareness of Shlomo comes up afterwards, which means to say the following. And here says the Rambam something very, very important. Rambam claims that there are two ways of looking at things. Some system of communication is HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks to a person in a vision. None of us have experienced it. That means they are aware at the present time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu appears to them. With Shlomo Hamelech, it wasn't that he was aware at the time. Only in historical time perspective does he realize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to me in a dream. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks to Abraham and Yaakov and Yitzchak, he's speaking to them, and they are aware at the time when he's speaking to them, they are aware of it in the present. Shlomo's not like that. Paro's not like that. It's only when they get up, they begin to calculate something happened to me in the middle of the night. And that, says the Rambam, is the test. Awareness at the present time vis-a-vis awareness afterwards. And says the Rambam in line number 69, ואין ספק שזאת המדרגה למטה ממדרגות אשר נאמר בהם חלום אדבר בו. Right? And therefore, הסכימה האומה לסדר ספר דניאל מכלל הכתובים לא מן הנביאים. That's why the Sefer Daniel, which is full of dreams, is in Ktuvim and not Nevi'im. Because the Nevi'im are aware at the present time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is speaking to them. ולזה הערתיך, שזה המין מן הנבואה, אשר בא לדניאל ושלמה. אף על פי שראו בו מלאך בחלום, לא מצאו בעצמם שהיא נבואה. They're not aware that there's a prophecy taking place. אבל חלום יודע באמיתת עניינים ומכת מי שידבר ברוח הקודש. וזאת היא המדרגה השנייה. So therefore, וכן בשדה כתבי הקודש. לא שמו הפרש בין משלי קהלת, דניאל, תהילים ומגילת רות ומגילת אסתר. All these are the same standards, says the Rambam. Okay? הכל ברוח הקודש נכתבו, some Holy Spirit, which they realize afterwards. So therefore, we have two types of nevuah. We have a type of nevuah where the human being is aware of HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaking to him at the present time. And the second one is only after they get up and begin to be cognitively aware of things, they realize that a dream took place. That is the chidush of the Rambam. So therefore, Shlomo Hamelech is not considered an absolute Navi. He's somebody who had a communication with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but in a different realm, a different standard. Now, once we've understood that, let's go stage. Let's take every sentence. Every sentence. Now, why does HaKadosh Baruch Hu appear to him? What's so special about Shlomo? What is so special about him? Now, if we look in history, we'll find that there are at least two people who HaKadosh Baruch Hu called them by their name. He told the parents the name of the child. Who's the first one? Anybody know?
Yitzchak.
Well done, Larry. Pia, firing away. Yitzchak. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells their name, Yitzchak. Okay? Another one is, I'll tell it to you. Hold on. Another one is, okay, Yishmael. He tells, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Hagar, after Abraham Avinu sends her away, that you're going to have a son, and you're going to call him Yishmael. Then comes, the next one is Shlomo Hamelech and Yoshiyahu Hamelech. Those are the four people who HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave names to even before they were born. Now, let's go back to Shlomo. What does it say there? It says in Sefer Shmuel, Vayinachem, what happened was that David Hamelech's first child for Bathsheba passes away. He dies when he's young as a punishment. Vayinachem David et Bathsheba ishto, vayavo eleha, vayishkav ima, vateled ben, vatikra. Bathsheba calls his name Shlomo. Hashem ehavo. Hashem loves him. And the next sentence, Vayishlach biyad Natan HaNavi. Kosh Baruch Hu sends in the hands of Natan HaNavi, and Natan HaNavi tells him, I got a prophecy. I got a prophecy from HaKadosh Baruch Hu that his name will be called Yedidia. Ba'avur Hashem. Shlomo becomes a Yedid Hashem. And what's written here? Let's look at the Abra Benel, who beautifully explains this. V'omnam amro v'Hashem e'avo v'yishlach biyad Natan v'yikra shemo Yedidi ba'avur Hashem. Achshov beferusho she'Hashem ahav et Shlomo b'tzeito mirechem. The minute he came out of the womb of Bathsheba, Kosh Baruch Hu connected up with him. Vayishlach biyad Natan le'odia leDavid she'Hashem e'avo. וכאשר דוד ידע אז קרא את שם בנו ידידיה בעבור השם, or, that's one explanation, רוצה לומר שקרא לו אז שמו ידיד השם בעבור שהשם אהבו, הנה נתבהר שראשונה קראו לו שלמה, ואחר כך בעבור שהודיעו הנביא שהשם אהבו, קראו שם מורה עליו בעבור ידידיה. So you've got two explanations. One is that Hashem told him his name. The other one is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, once Natan HaNavi told him that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had this special connection, David HaMelech calls him Yedidia. So therefore, what's so special? What's so special about Shlomo is, already at the time when he gives birth, there is this special connection between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Shlomo. And the minute Shlomo becomes king, then what happens? Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu appears to him in Givon. Now, let's carry on and try to analyze. Let's go into it a bit deeper. Okay? We have a special Tehillim. David HaMelech writes a special Tehillim. It's written, Shir HaMa'alot Lishlomo. There's a Shir HaMa'alot for the sake of Shlomo. Im Hashem lo yivne bayit, if Hashem will not build a house, shav amlu bonav, its builders have toiled in vain. Im Hashem lo yishmor ir, shav shakad shomer. HaKadosh Baruch Hu won't guard Yerushalayim. Also, the people who look after Yerushalayim don't stand a chance. Shtav lachem mashkimei kum. It will be futile for you to get up early or sit late. Ochlei lechem atzabim. Ken yitain ba'HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what will happen? Ken yitain leyidido sheina. He will give to his friend, okay, liyedido sheina. Now, here we come. Shlomo is called Yedido, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's friend. This is what David HaMelech writes about him. He says the following: Shir HaMa'alot L'Shlomo, Ze ne'emar al Shlomo. This Shir HaMa'alot is written about Shlomo. V'lamed L'Shlomo inyana ba'avur, for the sake of him. V'ne'emar al binyan habayit. First of all, it speaks about the building of the Beis HaMikdash. Shechashav David lifnoto. Kosh Baruch Hu, David HaMelech collects the stuff to build the Beis HaMikdash. V'asav kesef v'zahav v'nechoshet l'mlacha. V'lo alta biyado shkeidato v'amalo sheyivnehu ela b'no. David HaMelech doesn't succeed in building it. But who builds it? B'no. V'chein gam ze ha'inyan b'shar b'nei olam. שלא תעלה בידם מחשבותם. There are many times where people plan and think, but it doesn't work out. Many of us have plans, but they don't work out. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who's deciding it. David Hamelech has plans to build a Beis HaMikdash, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him no. וגם יש בו רמז למלך המשיח, כי גם הוא נקרא שלמה בשיר השירים. And we can explain this, says the Radak, we can explain this Tehillim on this concept. ונפרשנו על שלושת העניינים, על שלמה תחילה. אמר אם השם לא יבנה בית, שב עמלו בוניו בו. יאמר על בית המקדש, כי אמר דוד ולבנותו. Who was the one who wanted to build the Beis HaMikdash? David. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to him, וכיוון שלא רצה אל יתברך שיבנהו, לא בנה אותו. And same thing Yerushalayim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want Yerushalayim to be built up, nothing will help. Now the next sentence. The next sentence, the Radak says the following. Shav lachem mashkimei kum. Don't waste your time getting up early. Who's getting up early? Says the Radak in a brilliant way. David Hamelech, Shlomo Hamelech has two competitors. One is Avshalom. Amar al zeh, Avshalom. Sheikdim limrod ba'aviv. He rebels against his father. Velakachat amlucha, and he wants to take the kingdom. And what happens? Uchtiv. V'ishkim Avshalom v'amad al yad hashar. V'omei v'yignov Avshalom et lev anshe Yisrael. V'amar knegdo. And David HaMelech says about him, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says about him, don't waste your time. Shav lachem mashkimei kum me'achorei shevet. Don't waste your time. You won't succeed. And then the next one is Amar Keneged Adoniyah. The next one was Adoniyah, who rebelled at the end of David HaMelech's life. Sheicher la'asot hamered v'lashevet b'kisei hamlucha ad shezakan David v'shachav al mitato. Ushnehem, and both these people had plans, and it didn't work out. But what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu say? But one person I'm giving it to. V'amar keni yidido sheina, Shlomo yidido. Hashem, Shlomo is Yedid Hashem. And what's going to happen? To him, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to give the building of the Beis HaMikdash, and building of Yerushalayim, and building of Eretz Yisrael, and nobody in his lifetime will stand up against him. This is Shlomo, Shleimut, Yedid Hashem. And says Reb Tzadok HaKohen Milublin, Ushlomo Hamelech alav hashalom katuv bei v'Hashem ha'ivot, שנקרא ויקרא שמו ידידיה, לא נמסר כל חוכמתה, תורה שבעל פה, בלילה אחד בחלום, ועל זה נאמר כן, ייתן לי ידידו שינה. Reb Tzadok says that in actual fact, what happens when HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives Shlomo HaMelech sleep, ability to sleep, he teaches him the whole of the Torah, he gives him everything. Chokhmah, wisdom, you name it. So here we have the prophecy of David HaMelech. The prophecy is, Shira Ma'alot li Shlomo. I'm saying something for the sake of Shlomo. There'll be many people will try, many people have many plans. But if HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want them to happen, they won't happen. Shlomo HaMelech, he succeeds in fulfilling the plans of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's why his name is Shleimut, completion. He has the ability to complete everything. Right. Now let's go back to the sentences, the psukim. That's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu appears to him in the middle of the night. Okay? Now, what does he say? Let's look at line 10. Vayomer Shlomo, אתה עשית עם עבדך דוד עבדי חסד גדול, כאשר הלך לפניך. Please take note. Avdecha, your servant David. Chesed gadol, great kindness. Asher halach lefanecha, you gave chesed, and David Hamelech gave to you met tzedakah yishrat levav imcha, and he had truth and integrity. And Shlomo, you will guard for him this chesed. Vatiten lo ben yoshev al kiseh kayom hazeh. Now, what's quite amazing about this is the following. The first person, the only time in history until now, is that a son reigns after the king. Look in history. Moshe, none of his children follow in his ways. Yoshua, none of his children follow his ways. Shaul, none of his children follow his ways. Shmuel, none of his children follow his ways. Every single one, no child carries on what his father gave him. The first time in history that the leader of a Jewish people carries on, generation after generation, is Shlomo after David. And that was the chesed. You promised David that you'll have a son and he'll carry on. It's the first time in history HaKadosh Baruch Hu changed everything, which means to say that what? That it's not only talent, David Hamelech, and that's why we say every single day, Et semach David avdecha me'eretz hatzmiach, children of David Hamelech. Let's go back and we'll see the interpretation of these psukim. Because what's written is the following. David Hamelech worshipped you, okay? Vatitein lefanecha be'emet uvitzedakah uvishrat halev. Vatishmor lo, and he guarded for you et hachesed hagadol hazeh. Comes along the Malbim and explains in a beautiful way the differences between emet and chesed. Chesed ve'emunah. Here's the following. Say David, the throne of David Hamelech in three ways. Shehem hachesed va'emunah. V'yesh hevdel beineim. What is the difference between emunah and chesed? Ki hadavar sheyaseh Hashem mitzad hachesed, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives by kindness, lo yashkif bo al hazchut u'maaseh bnei adam. He doesn't look at the person. Chesed, we do not look at the person at all. You want to give chesed to a person, gemilus chasodim, you look at the object. I look at the giving. Remember, that is chesed. Abraham Avinu didn't look at the people. When he gave them chesed, that was it. Lo yashkif al hazchut u'maaseh bnei adam. ובכל זאת, אפשר שימצא אחר כך איש אחד, ימצא חן וחסד ויסיר החסד אל הראוי אליו, ביותר כפי מידת חסדו, כמו שהיה בשאול ודוד. דבר שיעשה השם מצד האמונה, כי הבטחה כפי זכות והכישרון, והקדוש ברוך הוא promises to a person, it's function of the person. That means when HaKadosh Baruch Hu believes in a person, it's because of his actions. Ve'emin Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu believes in Abraham Avinu. But David hitkabtzu shnei ele, chesed ve'emunah. Shema she'irimu Hashem el ha'malchut haya mitzad ha'chesed. אבל החסד היה בזה סיבתו זכות וכישרון לדוד. So therefore David has two things. He has the chesed, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu looked at David, and he looked what type of person he is. And now we're jumping in line 151. V'zeh sheikdim, ata asita, you did chesed, im avdecha chesed avi. אבל החסד הזה samach tzedakah ve'emet ve'yosher. You gave chesed to my father. But what was created from this chesed? justice, truth, integrity. כאשר הלך לפניך באמת, שיהודיות אמיתיות ואמונה בדברים עיוניים. And therefore, because you believed in my father, you gave chesed to my father, he built on this chesed. He built on it. He created new kingdom, new life. And what was the new life? Which Shlomo Hamelech says? He says, "Ata asita im avdecha David avdi chesed gadol." How did David reciprocate? He reciprocated in what? By doing things. It wasn't stam chesed. He reciprocated and gave you be'emet u'v'tzedakah v'yishrat halev. And he guarded for you et hachesed hagadol hazeh. Now, once we've understood this introduction, and this is the introduction how Shlomo Hamelech perceives his father. Okay? How he perceives his father. Okay, which is an amazing statement. This is what Hashem says to Shlomo. Vayomer Shlomo. Asita im avdecha. Shlomo says to him, and look, please take note. Vayomer Elokim sha'al ma eten lecha. How does Shlomo introduce? Shlomo Hamelech introduces the conversation not about himself. Guys, it's got nothing to do with himself. He introduces the conversation by saying, just look where I come from, where I come from. So therefore, the first question which always a person has to ask himself is, Me'ayin bata? Where do you come from? And what does Shlomo say, Me'ayin bata? I came from a person who you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, gave chesed to. And he reciprocated by doing everything. That was the greatness of my father David. Now, I'm a young guy. It's a beautiful introduction because every single one of us lives, so to speak, in a certain framework. And the framework which he lives in is a framework which his parents gave him. Okay? Every single one of us. We don't have choice who our parents were. I always say that to kids. You don't have a choice who your parents were. You are given certain characteristics. And that's how Shlomo Hamelech opens up his conversation with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He says to him, look what you gave my father. You gave my father chesed. He reciprocated with this and this and this. And this is who I am. But I'm not there yet. Why? Because I'm a young guy. V'ata Hashem Elokai. Ata imlachta et avdecha. Please take note of the word avdecha. Shlomo Hamelech feels himself a servant, an avah. Shlomo Hamelech lives in the shadow of his father. His father was a servant to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so also Shlomo is a servant to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ata imlachta et avdecha David, et avdecha tachat David avdi, v'anochi nar katan lo yada v'latzet lavo. This is exact copy of what Moshe says to Hashem. Yifkod Hashem, line number 162. Vaydaber Moshe el Hashem. Yifkod Hashem Elokei aruchot l'chol basar ish el ha'ida. Asher yetzei lifneihem, v'asher yavo lifneihem. Please take note of these words, which Shlomo Hamelech also uses. I don't know how to do these things. I don't know what to do. Okay? Now, what does it mean? Says Reb Shimshon Feilesh, Asher yatzeh lifneihem v'yasher yavo lifneihem, eino moreh al hanagat tzava. It's not talking about battles. כאשר שלמה ביקש למלא את חובתו כמלך, הוא שאל מאת השם לב שומע לשפט, ואם לא תינתן לו בקשה לא יוכל לעשות המוטל עליו. וחוסר יכולתו לקיים את תפקידו מבוטא בידיו בלשון ואנוכי נער קטן. This is what יצא ויבוא is. הוא ביטוי לכלל פעולתו של אדם שעומד בראש של העם. I've got to go and lead. That is יצא ויבוא. what are your expectations from me? How to speak, how to listen, how to behave. And that is what Shlomo Hamelech says. Shlomo Hamelech says, I don't know how to behave as a king. I haven't got the capabilities. I don't know anything. What does he say? ונתת לעבדך לב שומע לשפוט את עמך. He speaks to him as a servant. Let's look into him. This is all what we learn when we learn Tanakh. ואתה השם עד שם, רחום וחנון, פנה אליי, חונני, פנה עוזך לעבדך, זכור דוד דבר לעבדך על אשר יכלתני. The whole time David HaMelech is feeling a servant. And that's what Shlomo says. I'm a servant. I'm your servant. And since I'm your servant, please give me the kelim to serve you after you've made me as king. ונתת לעבדך לב שומע, לשפוט את עמך, כי מי יוכל לשפוט, okay, ועבדך בתוך עמך. And your servant sits amongst these people, אשר בחרת, you've chosen them. אשר לא ימנה ולא יספר מרוב. They're uncountable. Exactly the promise which you gave Abraham Avinu, Asher, please take note at the end, ותמציא את זרעך כעפר הארץ אשר איש יוכל למנות, counting and ספירה. And here, Rabbi Sai, this is the introduction to the dream. The introduction to the dream is how Shlomo Hamelech perceives himself. What I've received from my father, what you gave my father, I don't know how to do this. Lo edeh set buva, because I need to judge the people. Or in the language of Divrei Yamim, I need wisdom, EQ and IQ. This is the introduction to the dream. This is an introduction to the conversation. And the next lesson we'll learn how Baruch Hu gives him this. Yes. Are there any statements, anything you want to say about the shir? Okay. Yes, you're on mute. You're on mute. Okay. Shabbos, everybody. We'll carry on next week with the dream of Shlomo Hamelech. Good Shabbos, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.